talked about how debt to GDP is now, around 76%. It's much higher than the average. One of the big debates in Washington, obviously, is how much additional deficit reduction should be done. Do you have a sense, or do you guys have any projections about how much additional deficit reduction it would take to stabilize the debt to GDP?
I'm not sure I know that fact exactly. As we show in our report, I can go back to the crucial picture, the debt to GDP ratio at the end of this year we think will be 76% of GDP. It then declines in our projection to around 73% of GDP and comes back up to 77% at the end. What the right level of debt is relative to GDP is not a question to which economists have an analytic answer. What we have said, consistent with the consensus view in the profession, is that with high levels of debt have costs and risks. The costs, or the crowding out of investment and the reduction in output and income that comes with that. The risks are particularly the inability of policymakers to respond to unexpected developments. Notice that in the last 6 years, the debt to GDP ratio has risen from 36% to 76% because of the financial crisis, the recession, and the policy responses to that. If we were to be running along at 76 or 77% of GDP, and we were to encounter another recession, or a more serious recession and financial crisis, then there would be much less room to move. And countries that find themselves with very high debt to GDP and then encounter economic problems or international circumstances to which they need to respond really find themselves in very bad and dangerous circumstances. So at this level of debt relative to GDP, our country would be incurring costs and bearing risks of a sort that we have not in our history except for a few years around the end of the Second World War.